Evening, guys. Welcome to today's devotional. Today we're going to be finishing off our Armour of God series that we've been going through the past several weeks. And today we're going to be finishing off with verse 18, which says, of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 18, it says, "Pray in the Spirit at all times and on every occasion. Stay alert and be persistent in your prayers for all believers everywhere." As we've gone through the Armour of God series, we've seen a lot of put on this, wear this, put this on. And then it ends here with an action to take. After you've put on all of these different things, now make sure communication is in place. Make sure prayer is in place at all times, everywhere. The upwards communication between you and the Lord, and that on behalf of those who are around you, the other believers, where the reminder that we're not in this alone. It's not like we're fighting this fight alone and it's a, hey, good luck, It's a, no, you're in this, but so are all the other believers. So don't forget to pray. Don't forget to talk to the Lord. And don't forget to actually pray for everyone else who is also going through this as well as you. Everyone else who's going through the spiritual warfare. Sometimes some different things, sometimes some very similar things, sometimes the same things. And this is all spiritual warfare that we will experience as Christians, as people who want to follow after the Lord, and then as targets for the enemy. So we aren't sent out to war alone, and that's the reminder here that, hang on a minute, you're not alone in this. There's everybody else, but not just that. There's the Lord. You have the communication with the Lord where you can actually call out to Him. You can pray to Him. And key is that communication between us and God. Like a soldier who communicates with his leaders in order to know the objectives, in order to know intel, in order to receive help when he's in times of trouble, and so many other reasons why a soldier would communicate with his leaders. So is the reminder for us to communicate with God, our leader, if we actually use the armour that He's given us effectively in His strength as well. It's to remind us of our objective. When we go to Him and we say, hey Lord, please just help me to keep my eyes focused on You. Help me to keep my eyes focused on the kingdom. It's to help us to receive instruction. When we go to Him and we say, Lord, I'm really struggling with this. And He gives us wisdom to help walk right. He reminds us of different verses that as the Holy Spirit speaks to us and reminds us, hey, you remember reading this in the Word? Oh, you're right. You're right. So I should be doing this, to remind us of instruction. And to remind us how to live. And then to actually help us when we're in need. That we say, Lord, I'm really struggling. And it's not like we're just speaking to thin air. We are speaking to the living God who has conquered the grave, who has conquered sin and death and defeated it on the cross. And we are able to call out to that living God who is the creator of the universe and is still active and able with every single thing that happens passing before His throne. So we're able to go to the Lord and say, hey Lord, I'm really struggling with this. And He's able to give us the peace that passes understanding. And He's able to help us in the midst of those circumstances. Sometimes it's helping to get us out of a situation that we find ourselves encountering. Sometimes it's to help us get through those situations. Sometimes the Lord's giving us wisdom and instruction saying, hey, you got in this situation because you went your own way. You're right, Lord. Okay. As the Lord continues to teach us throughout our lives. So I want to encourage you guys and encourage myself with this as Paul's speaking here. I want to encourage each and every one of us to pray at all times, to be constant and to be consistent in prayer because we know that we need it. And praying in the Spirit as He helps us, as it says in the Scriptures that the Holy Spirit will give groans, He will give utterances that when we don't know what to pray for. The Holy Spirit will continue to help us as we go about this life and as we continue to pray to the Father with Jesus Christ as our mediator, as the one who has now made us righteous through His blood. And we can be praying for other believers too. Interceding, praying for them, that's just what that means. Knowing that it's not just us in the spiritual battle, but it's all believers everywhere. And to remind us to then not just pray for them, but to have that fellowship, to be communicating with other believers, to have that fellowship together, to encourage one another, to build one another up. And in all of this, remembering that as we call out to the Lord in prayer, we can remember that we have a high King in heaven who has defeated sin, who has defeated death on the cross, and he is always ready and willing to help us and to hear us when we call out to him, because we know that he loves us. So that ends our Armour of God series with this week's devotional, and we'll be back with some more devotionals soon. So God bless you guys.